The Jomon period is the key to understanding the world's ancient civilizations. The clay figures with the sunshades aren't aliens.
Chapter 3. The rope pattern was a snake.
It seems like the whole world pays attention to the Jomon culture. They said all kinds of things about even just the eyes of the Shakoki Dogu.
The Jomon period continued for over 10,000 years, from about 15,000 years ago till about 2,300 years ago. During that time, there were no major wars. One culture lasted the whole time, while the people continued to put a rope pattern on their pottery. Looking around the world, there is no other example of peace having lasted for so long, or a culture having continued for so long. So even the international community is wide-eyed with surprise.
I knew that the word Jomon means rope pattern in Japanese. That refers to the rope patterns they made on their pottery. But to continue putting a rope pattern on the pottery for over 10,000 years, what on earth were they thinking?
That is a good question. But in order to clear all doubt, we first need to know what the rope pattern actually means. However, most Japanese archaeologists just think that it's just a pattern, and they don't think about the meaning behind it. On the other hand, there are some folklorists who do understand one thing. The rope is the figure of two snakes, male and female, mating, and they represent the soul of the deceased ancestor. Also, the shape that the rope makes, the rope pattern, indicates the soul of an ancestor.
You have got to be kidding. What? Two snakes mating? That's the first time I've ever heard that one.
No, this is quite clear. I also support this view. The rope really does look exactly like two snakes mating. By the way, Tabby, do you know how they put the rope pattern onto the pottery?
I've never thought about it. It must have been pretty difficult to put it on bit by bit with a palette knife.
Let's say they wound the rope around the earthenware and pushed it into the surface while they were making it. Then the pattern of a rope would remain.
Wow, that's great. Jomon people were really smart. But then why? If the rope pattern represented the ancestral spirit, why did the Jomon people put a representation of the ancestral spirit on their pottery?
Earthenware was made to look like a gourd, and was originally considered the same as a womb. The gourd, native to West Africa, was a symbol of pregnancy. Last time I explained that the Jomon people thought a new life to be the rebirth of an ancestral spirit. So they put the rope pattern, representing an ancestral spirit, on earthenware representing the womb, and prayed for its rebirth. The clay figures were made later than the pottery, and these ideas were also expressed in them. Here's an interesting example of a clay figure found at the Tateishi site in Hanamaki City, Iwate Prefecture. Look at its head.
It looks like there's something like a rope on it.
Some scholars thought it was the hair fashion of the time. What do you think, Tabby?
Well, you said that the clay figures were the young women receiving the seed of a baby. And if the rope is the ancestral spirit, wouldn't this rope-like thing be the soul of an ancestor who is descending to be reborn in this world?
Yes, you are very clever, Tabby.
Yes, but even so, why is it that the people of the past thought that the soul of a dead person would become a snake?
In order to understand that, you will need to understand what the Jomon people thought about the snake, which they believed to be their totem.
That sounds difficult.
Simply put, the totem is an animal that a primitive ethnic group considered as their symbol. And for life's important events such as childbirth and death, people believed that they changed their appearance to the totem animal.
So the snake was the totem of the Jomon people, right?
Exactly. So the ancestors who had died would take on the shape of a snake in the other world.